Good morning, good morning, good morning again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilly Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they've threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article and share it on all your social media. We also have linked in there NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozarks first article in regards to Agape Boarding School, also known as Stone for Help Boarding School, a so-called Christian themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor, still on the premises with full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney excuse me, you have Attorney General too busy chasing after and badly photoshopping drag queens and trying and failing to fund public libraries to actually do his job. And you got a governor off his nuts. So please send help. Send help. Read that article. Share it on all your social media. And for the love of God, send help. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present, very self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you do got young children present, folks, please go ahead and utilize those headphones, all right? Also, warning, fall allergies are kicking, trigger warning, I'm going to curse, my ass. You might hear me cough, clear my throat, or weird noises. Apologies for that in advance. I do not have an edit button, or if I do, I don't know how to use it. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, all right? All right, where we left off here. Phlegm. It's fun. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment also provides little recourse for students with disabilities and injured by use of aversives. For the purpose of people with disabilities are not considered a suspect class. The effect of this is that the government can treat people with disabilities differently than those without, so long as it has a rational, non discriminatory basis for doing so. That, of course, is left open for interpretation. And you know what happens when things are left up for interpretation when it comes to people with disabilities, folks? You get places like the JRC and Agape existing, continuing to exist, violating our human rights in alphabetical order with no protections. None. As Human establishes, providing acceptable care as part of a student's education, defined as the product of the sort of professional judgment discussed above, is considered a legitimate government interest that would satisfy the rational basis set. However, the use of aversives is almost always presented by providers who use it as just being justified based on the grounds of either care or safety, both for which are legitimate governmental interests. This is how they get away with it, folks. They justify it by using the most harmful tropes, particular when it comes to dealing with us autistic folks. And they get away with it because I hate to tell you this and bust your bubble, but it is an extremely ableist, prejudiced world we live in. Okay? There is a reason why every single year the neurodiversity community always says, brace yourself, April is coming. Because what does the media show of people like us? If you were to do a search on ADHD and abuse right now, what you would see is hundreds of articles about how kids with ADHD are abusive. If you don't see the very obvious prejudice there, I don't know what to tell you. But it is within the medical model's interest of making money to display people with ADHD in the worst light humanly possible. Why? Because then the schools can send you off to the doctors and pills, 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 pills. Don't get me wrong, I am not coming against proper medication. But in the interests of money, this is how people with ADHD are shown. This has an effect on the rest of society. Society and schools like this will then use that image that is projected out into the world of what kids with ADHD are like as justification for crap like this. That goes doubly so for us autistic folks. Because what do you see out in the media? Let's be honest here. You have autism martyr parents who will roll camera during meltdowns when we are at our most vulnerable and display it out for all of social media to observe in a way to garner sympathy and as a means to garner money for themselves. Okay? Those videos get blasted every single April. So, by and large, non-atypical society usually gets two images of what autistic folks are like. The videos of the meltdowns and Rain Man. Okay? That's what we get. So when society sees those meltdowns, what are they going to think of us? Well, we're obviously excessively violent and constantly out of control, right? So that must mean that any means to bring us uncontrollable so-called monsters under control is justified, right? This is the prejudice, folks. This is why when I say how you represent autistic characters in film matters. Okay? Because when you perpetuate that image out there into society, and we're outnumbered, folks. I don't know if you noticed. These people vote. Think on it. There's a real societal impact on people like me. Okay? Let's move on. Thus, there would be few, if any, instances in which a court working under the existing framework could find that the use of aversives on a child with a disability in school would violate the Equal Protection Clause. My point and my argument. When you have a society that, for lack of a better term, has been groomed to view a particular vulnerable population to be excessively violent and out of control, it becomes easier to swallow the pill of trying to force us by means of ABA and through adversives, whether it be the cat, meow, meow, whether it be the not so violent but just as traumatizing removal of affection, the deprivation of food, deprivation of sleep, bizarre so-called therapy where we have staff jumping out at us and for all intents and purposes attacking us or torturing us using corporal punishment like with the GED device as justifiable. Because how else are you going to control those out of control, excessively violent autistic people, right? Right? This is why image and representation matters. This is why how Hollywood portrays us matters. Because it influences everything else. You see what I mean? And society doesn't even think twice about it. They might think twice about it if we would start depicting autistic folks as we actually are, where meltdowns are not quite as frequent as people want you to believe that they are. Maybe the fact that we're atypical and maybe we stem, although different from you. You see where I'm going here, right? In a society not built for us, in a society where we've got literally a machine here that makes us look out of control. This is how schools like the JRC continue to exist. They use these tropes that are put out in society as a whole to justify violating our human rights. And then use these terms through federal laws as a means and a way to protect themselves. This is why the laws need to be changed, be made more explicit, so that there is no more room for interpretation. Because room for interpretation, folks, gets kids killed every year. I'm not mincing words. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm being as literal as it gets. I get the reports every single day of kids who have died due to improper restraints. Kids who come home bruised, traumatized, and have no desire to pursue education because how they were treated due to their disability is left up for interpretation. It isn't just the JRC. They are simply the most extreme example. The solution is quite simple. Hold your leaders to account. Because as you can see here, you need to understand we are no longer the only ones that are under threat. More and more school districts are voting in this country every day to restore capital punishment in regular public schools. Talk to your neighbors. Maybe when they can finally wrap their brain around the fact that their neurotypical kids are at risk too, we can finally start getting some changes in these laws. And we're going to go close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. See you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.